Record. Let's make sure Gabe can share his screen. I might even share a screen today.
Ooh.
We'll see what's happening with that.
Crazy. Anything can happen on 4th of July.
It's the three amigos.
Hola, mis amigas.
Oh, yeah.
Julie.
Yeah, it's us.
¿Qué tal, Amanda? ¿Cómo estás?
On another holiday, the three of us are going to be here for you always to give you good book recommendations, right?
Always. The others, poolside, beachside,
right? Just slacking this weekend. I tell you, I don't know. It'd be funny if we saw like Tom slide in a minute or two. And I'm cracking up that I never saw the teddy bear until last week.
You know,
how have I missed that for 2.5 years?
The eye.
It's the, as you say, I still can't wear. I can wear makeup now, but it was like, so I still have these eyes that look like they're kind of asleep because I have no makeup on. But that's another story. But yeah,
I just use a little lifter up in here a little bit.
I know. I gotta like get some makeup on. I get my second one done next Wednesday, so it's good. It's really good. Okay, I've been reading, so I apologize to everybody, but I'm going to be talking, if and when I do talk about something, I'm going to talk about stuff that's happening in the future, because that's all I've been reading lately is everything that's coming out in September. So apologize to that, but great stuff to look forward to. So but we'll go, we're going to go Gabe and then to you, Amanda, and then I'll fill in with whatever. So you want to start us off, Gabe?
I will, and I'm going to start off with one of my favorites, Diane McKinney Whetstone, who a lot of people don't know, and I don't understand why. I've been reading her. Harper Collins and Morrow, who used to be a separate publisher, merged in '99, and Diane McKinney Whetstone was one of the first authors on the list that I read, and I've been a fan of hers ever since. Everything she writes about, she's setting is usually Philly, and they're very real people, very real characters in all of her books, and her writing is just lovely. Her beautiful. She's got very lyrical, sparkly language. It is just really a lot of fun to just sit down and read the words out loud, or just read the words and maybe reread some pieces. She doesn't necessarily, go into these inaccessible rants. She just writes the very ordinary in a very lovely way, in a very beautiful way. So she's a natural writer. And in this book, as we've all gotten older, 23 years ago was a long time. I've been reading this woman for a long time, and time passes. And this book is all about a group of friends who have moved into this 55 and over living facility for the active person getting into, the golden years. And it's a place where they come to realize eventually the mortality, I think maybe, and that might be about right, 55, when mortality really kind of kicks in, where you're just like, okay, I know my days are numbered. 30 years ago, I was a young man, I was a boy, and 30 years from now, I'm gonna be like really, really old. So this is a really good spot. So this is the age group, they're leading into their 60s. They're still getting high, they're cool. It is a confederacy of Black friends. It's like the beginning of the book, the main character, one of the main characters talks about Black folk always find each other. And in this gen, which is this octogenarian, sexagenarian residency, they call it the gen. There's only a handful of Black folks, and they find each other, and they get together and talk politics and lean towards their left-leaning politics and color issues of people of color, and as we're seeing this play out, and them recognizing they're getting older and their mortality. They're also looking back. And this is where the book is really cool, because she also starts looking back, and we see what made these people. So it's really just a really fun, interesting narrative and telling, and very well, interestingly structured in how she's bringing the book. You're here in time your goal in your later years, but and you know you're heading here, but all of a sudden you're tossed into a highlight of which I think we all do in our brains. You know, that's what it did to me. It's like took me back to some of my golden days when I was a god and Invincible.
You're still a god. Come on, Dave. You're still a god.
I know. So she just does a really great job as always. I've never been disappointed in a Diane McKinney Whetstone book. I don't think I ever will be. Like I said, she's a great writer. Just reading the words, if they meant nothing, you'd enjoy it. But really puts together a really good story. I just thought the way she handled this was really kind of cool.
Has she always been a Harper author?
She was with Morrow.
Okay.
And I think she might have been with Morrow from the beginning. One of the Morrow was a very commercial list when we took them over, but they've always there's Jen Brell over there, and well, he left us, but there's a couple of editors that will do a really nice literary novel, memoir, little short, wonderful little piece of fiction that they just delight. You know, they just really love. And so Morrow's always loaded, very commercial list, but loaded with these little gems every once in a while that pop in that are really great.
No, I love
it.
Then
Diane McKinney West, real regular. She doesn't write a book a year. She doesn't write a book every 2 years. You know, she's written 5 books maybe since then. And but always, for me, always with the weight.
No, it sounds, and you're right. I mean, as we get into these years, it's I like those stories, like the one that I was talking about, where like that 80-year-old woman wrote about. You know, it's just like as we get older, I like reading those things.
There's an audience.
I love the kids. I still love the younger writers, but I like some of the more mature topics these days. Okay, we have lots of fun comments coming in on Facebook, so it's really fun. So thank you for thanking us for being here.
I can't believe anybody's watching.
I know we got watchers. Everybody's, it's awesome. They love an Amanda's shirt. I mean, I love that. Somebody read The Measure, so loved and so Serena loved that. Thought it was super thought-provoking. So
in a week, inside of a week.
I know, that's awesome.
What's next?
I know, that's why I love this. And then we'll tell Tom, Arlene, we'll make sure to tell Tom about the Dead Romantics. And let's see what else we got going on in here. Oh, Horse was really good, Kim. I really, really did like that book a lot. And the event with Michael Lewis was really good. So glad you all were able to join that too. So yay, thanks you all for being here. So anywho, okay, Amanda, you got your MAGA shirt on?
Yep. Yeah, this is as patriotic as I get.
I love it.
These days. I've been waiting a long time to talk about this book. So here is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which comes out tomorrow, by Gabrielle Zevin. Oh gosh, this book made me cry so hard that my head hurt for a day afterward. So I'll read the blurb about the storyline just to start. A modern love story about 2 childhood friends, Sam, raised by an actress mother in LA's Koreatown, and Sadie, from the wealthy Jewish enclave of Beverly Hills, who reunite as adults to create video games, finding an intimacy in digital worlds that eludes them in their real lives. And the author is well known for her book, The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry, which was an indie bookseller favorite. I haven't read that one, and I need to go back and read it because this is just so, it really hit me in all the feels. You don't have to love video games to love this book, but if you grew up on video games like I did as a child of the 80s, you will feel instant rapport with the characters in this book and the story. Emma Straub says, my #1 book to recommend.
Wow.
Incredible. Rebecca Surley says, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is the sort of book that comes around once in a decade, a magnificent feat of storytelling. It is a book about the intersection between love and friendship, work and vocation, and the impossible and relentless pull of our own westbound destinies. Gabriel Zevin is one of our greatest living novelists, and tomorrow just may be her magnum opus.
Wow.
And John Green says, utterly brilliant, one of the best books I've ever read. So I can't say enough about this book. Comes out tomorrow.
I love it. I was just trying to think about what I'm going to, because I can't talk about books that are coming out in September. That's just not fair.
That's pretty soon, though. That's pretty
Is it
soon.
okay?
Yeah.
All right. Because it's just like, oh my God, I should be talking about something that's coming out. But I just read, so I will share my screen because I'll just show you just real quick what I've got here going on. So this is coming out from Tin House in September, and it is called The House in the Orchard. And it's a combination. I was telling Adrienne the other day, I said if she had a copy, if Andrea or somebody got her a copy, or oh God, Craig Poplar, to read it, because it's going to remind you of, I don't know if people remember the Essex Serpent. It's got a Bronte-esque, it's got atonement, it's got a ghost. It's really good. It vacillates between it mostly takes place in 1870s. But it starts out in the 1940s, and this woman's husband has died in the war, but he inherits the house in the orchard. It's called Orchard House. So she finds these but it's her father-in-law's sister's house. So make that little connection. And she finds the diaries of Maud, who's the father-in-law's sister, that explains all of the what's happened in their relationship over the course of about 2 or 3 years, when the mother died and the father dies. And it's so good because it's just written. She captures that 1870s voice and tells this story and weaves this story. And then, I don't know. Anyways, it's really good. The House on the Orchard, coming in September from Tin House. I loved it. It's a good one. So keep your eye out for that one. I'm sure Andrea and I will be talking about it in September when it comes out. But yeah, I wish it was winter when I was reading it, because it's just one of those kind of like, curl up with a cup of tea, ghost story. It was kind of like 90s and Clear here, but
Tin House has been doing a lot of those cool atmospheric kind of spooky.
Yeah. And the end, I need to talk to somebody really bad about the end, because I think I know, but I don't know that I know.
Ooh.
It was one of those, like, it was really good because I like books that make you think. I mean, yeah, we all need the books that are like just kind of like a straight narrative thing, but this one's sort of like, oh shit, wait a minute, what happened there? So anyways, that's a good one. All right, Gabe, what's your next one?
My next one is a really in-house favorite. This was a book that everybody kept discovering and recommending to each other in the offices, and everybody managed to pick this up. It is a razor sharp telling of Jamie, a Florida woman who's born and bred. She digs the humidity. She's grown up on the beach. She is Florida all the way. And then one day, because she got done wrong, she accidentally commits this serious act of vandalism. And she becomes a headline, Florida woman. So she's sort of, to pay her debt off to society, she gets to work in this monkey refuge deep in the swamps of Florida, and that's run by 3 really interesting, charismatic women. But something ain't right. There's something amiss here, and that's when the book really takes off. And Deb Rogers is a really fun voice. This is just a wild, fun ride, and like I said, it was one of those books that my partner Jim Hankey up in the Bay Area read it, and he sent me a note. And I already read it. I was going to send you a note how much I loved it. And we have our calls. Everybody, everybody was bouncing it off everybody else. So it was one of those books that you just talk about, and it's a great discovery book. So it's very atmospheric, very well told, and I think the audience for this is going to be pretty broad. We got Kevin Wilson gives us.
I was just gonna say Kevin Wilson giving a blurb. Yeah,
like
Kevin Wilson
multiple
raving.
blurbs. He's really nuts about this book.
And
Yeah.
so is it like is it? She's not a debut. Is this a debut?
I think it's a debut.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's even better.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
don't
like
I don't think that I've seen anything else by her, and I didn't see anything else in the comps or notes from her. So yeah, it's a fresh voice. It really is a really fun, fresh, snappy telling, and you're just like,
yeah. And
Why we read.
Florida just is like, Florida.
it's Florida man. It's always that headline, Florida man. Just Google it, see what they did today.
Exactly. It's just like, oh my God, Florida. I was really funny because Lauren Groff lives in Florida, and she just sometimes just like shakes her head, just like, oh my God. And then Carl Hyde, nobody writes about it better than Carl Hyacin too. I mean, he's just like the master. So fun. That looks like a good one. Can't wait.
A lot of fun.
All right, Amanda, what's your next one?
Let's see. This is out in paperback tomorrow.
Oh, I loved this book.
Oh,
It's
you
not that-
did. Did you?
I did. It's
cool.
kind of not for everybody. It's such a good book.
Yeah. Okay. So this is Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder. It was a debut. I think I mentioned it last year when it first came out in hardcover, but now it's in paperback. This book cast a spell on me. I blew through it almost in one sitting without a break. And the story is that this ambitious mother puts her art career on hold to stay at home with her newborn son. And she's 2 years in, and she's kind of losing her marbles. Her husband's not home a lot because he travels for work. So it's just her and this toddler. And then one day she notices there's a weird patch of hair growing on the back of her neck. And maybe she might be growing a little nub on her lower back that's like a tail. And she thinks she might be turning into a dog. Her husband dismisses her fears, but she goes to the library, because where else do you go except the library when you need answers? And she finds this mysterious book called A Field Guide to Magical Women. And through researching through this book and the author, she meets a group of moms who are involved in this. Well, actually, just by being at the library, she meets these mommies and starts hanging out with them, and they're involved in this pyramid scheme, and they don't really know what to make of her. And it's kind of, I've been describing it as Kafka for the modern woman. It's a very strange book. I loved it. A lot of its charm is in its very visceral writing.
Right.
And it also, I think, would provoke a great conversation for a lot of book clubs about the dreams deferred by a lot of mothers and the what ifs that can haunt you when you decide to prioritize family over other things. And it's very funny too.
Oh, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just, I loved it.
I just thought it was just a wild ride. I mean, it is just a wild ride.
And I was a little bit, the ending, I was like, but it didn't make me angry like some endings do. It just made me want to talk about it some more with other people. I keep thinking about this book. So
I can't remember the
again,
end.
out in paperback.
I can't remember the end. But yeah, it is definitely a trippy book. And it just like puts a whole, I mean, it's like, and just the whole, and it's an interesting because as a reading it as a mother and knowing other mothers too, it's like these instincts that you have that you just like that come out, that she did a really good job. She did a really good job of that. Okay, I'm going to talk about, I'm not quite done with it, but I have to talk about it because it's just really good. And it's, again, it may be one of those books that's not for everybody, but he's a really good writer. And this one's not coming out till September either. The reason that, if anybody's curious of why I'm reading all these September books, is our indie next list deadline is on Thursday. So we have, when we get these advanced readers, the publishers like us to read things kind of in advance and help boost them. So this is one that I got a notice from the editor if I would read it. So it was funny because when he sent the note, I was like, oh, sure, Ben, you know, because I love Ben. Ben's the one that turned me on to Stockholm Sven, which I've talked about here, which I thought was like super good. And so I was like, oh yeah, Ben. Well, then when I looked at it, I realized that James Hanahan wrote one, and Amanda put this book into the chat, not this one, but the one I'm going to tell you in 1 second. He wrote one of my favorite books when it came out, and I think it came out in 2013, maybe, Delicious Foods. And it's a tough book, but it is so good. It, in fact, won the Penn Faulkner Award. So that's how good it was. And his writing is just tremendous. And in Delicious Foods, it takes place on like an indentured servitude, like the farms in the South that, you know, the Delicious Foods is a farm in the South that's a produce farm. And but one of the things that he did brilliantly is crack cocaine is actually a narrator in the book. And so it's just so well done. So anyways, when I picked it up and saw that this was a James Hanahan book, Gabe and I were talking earlier about what a great title is this. Didn't nobody give a shit what happened to Carlotta? And it's, as that title is, that's how this whole book is written. I mean, it is written in Carlotta's voice. Carlotta is a trans person who is just been released from, or she gets released from Ithaca after spending 20 years there, serving a 22-year sentence for being involved in her attempted assault with a deadly weapon and robbery or attempted robbery with her cousin in Brooklyn. She gets dumped back into Brooklyn 20 years later. So 1993, she was sentenced. She gets out in 2013 or 14, something like that. How Brooklyn has changed, how the system, you know, she's on parole, how the whole system is just set up to just fail everybody. But Carlotta is just this character that you can't help but love. And just what a tough road she has, but she's just, it's just brilliant. It's really, really, it's so good. So anyways, but it's not coming out till September. So if you read, but Delicious Foods is out. So you can get Delicious Foods to get an idea of what a brilliant writer James Hanahan is. So anywho, and I'm sure Amanda B will be talking about this one in September. So I'll be talking about that with her, I'm sure. All righty, Gabe, what you got next?
Blockbuster. What else, Jules?
Blockbuster's always coming from Gabe.
How do we do it?
I don't know. You guys are awesome. Well, this one probably will be a blockbuster. You're right.
This is a doorstop. This is a door. This is almost a physical building. 832 pages.
Wow.
Of kick-ass historical fiction, old school status. Eleanor of Aquitaine's court. Our protagonist is a young woman who is married off at a young age, and she finds she's married off to a guy who seems like a fine fella. He likes hawking and falconing, and she thinks he'll fulfill her sense of adventure. And that's not quite like that. He becomes obsessed with having a male heir. Not only an heir, we got to have a male heir because a female can't be an heir, right? It's just a daughter. So you got to have a male heir. And all the conventions of the 12th century. So it's set in around Eleanor of Aquitaine's court. And this is a young lady that is in the court and feels like, I mean, who wouldn't kill to be in that situation, right? But she's kind of like completely stifled and it needs to get out. And then, so she eventually, that's not kind of what she does. That's what she does. And she sets off to find herself and find some authenticity in her life and an authentic self. And, it resonates with a lot of modern themes. Obviously, it's not, it's a very difficult road that she hoes. Honestly, it is. It's not a magical, oh, look, all of a sudden I'm like living a 20th century life. It's a rough road. There's a lot of things that she's got to give up, a lot of things, some regrets. But the really interesting aspect of the novel is really who she runs across, and kind of Chaucer-ish in a way, in that she runs across, you know, barmaids, she runs across farmers, farmers' wives, healers, monks, nuns, just everyday people of the era. And so you connect with like every level, because she's highborn. So, and she's kind of rolls into the lowborn road, down the class status as she's working. So she has this great panorama of individuals that she interacts with that pop through the book, that really make give this book a really authentic feel and make the journey really interesting. Because while it is her point of view, you see the influences from the other characters. So there's just a lot of really good stuff in this book. But bottom line, if you like a really solid, you know, historical novel that's going to take you away, and you know, it's a woman's life. It wasn't easy. It might not be a bad time to read this book. Remember what it used to be like, and where we're going.
I was just gonna say, doesn't sound much different, Gabe.
We're yeah, I mean, we're like in the 1930s right now, you know,
Yeah.
with the fascism and the moral outstanding. So it's the right-wing extremism has got us in the 30s. So we're not quite at the 1200s, but you know, ain't far to go.
Yeah. Well, I think
You know-
that somebody on our justices, one of our justices, I think, quotes somebody, I think from either the 12th century or the 13th century.
Like the 16th, 15th.
Oh, is it
or
the
16th,
16th?
yeah.
Okay.
It was like a
So-
witch burner.
Yeah, there you go. All right, there you go. That's where we're at.
Witch burner. Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know about you, but I'm gonna take you off a screen share here. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I got it. Oh, you got it. Nothing's better than a big, thick historical fiction.
If you like historical fiction, this is it right
I
here.
wanted
Yeah.
to show you guys. This book is thick,
832 pages.
You got it, Amanda.
thick.
We're not
Yes.
playing.
You're not playing. But and
Yeah.
and sometimes those in hardcover though, it's like your wrists start hurting when you're it's like when you're holding it
And
reading.
when you fall asleep in bed and it falls
Yeah, and
on
it's
your
like
face.
blocks you on your head.
You
Yeah.
can wait for the paperback, but some of us can't read the paperback.
This is a paperback because it's an advanced copy and it's still thick.
It's still, but yeah, but I love that. I mean,
I do too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, Ken
You're
Follett.
immersed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Pillars of the Earth. Come on.
Look, I
That's
got the
another-
I got the Ken Follett, which I haven't started because Deborah brought it home because she knows I love Ken Follett, and so it's been sitting by my nightstand. But I got sales conference, so I've been reading for conference next
Wait a minute.
next week.
Wait a minute. Is it a historical fiction?
No, it's a thriller.
Oh, Never? Is it the one Never?
Yeah,
Or-
it's a big red one.
Okay. I was just like, wait a minute. How am I not getting the Ken Follett? I was going to be like really pissed off.
Dr. Tom.
I know. I was
And
gonna be-
and then the John Irving. She picked up a galley of the John Irving for me. And
I think I saw that on Adrian's desk. I was
John
like, how did I
Irving
not
has a
get the
new
John
book?
Irving?
December. It's like
What?
it's like that thick.
Yeah.
It is like probably 1,000 pages, 900 pages or something.
Yeah. Although John, I have to say, I will see how this one is. He's kind of a roller coaster. You know,
I mean, it's not the world according to Garp. It's not the Water Method Man.
Right.
He hasn't been that John Irving in a while. So
in a
it's
while, but
different genre.
there has been some good recent ones, but you just never know what you're getting. So I'll be curious to see how this one is. Okay, Amanda, what do you got for us?
Okay. I'm split between two. I do want to mention again, because I take any opportunity to talk about this author and these books. Feral Creatures, the book by Kira Jane Buxton, is now out in paperback, and it's the follow-up to a very beloved book of mine, Hollow Kingdom. And pretty much all you need to know is that it's the apocalypse from the point of view of a very funny crow named ST, short for shit turd. And yeah, so this is the first. This is Feral Creatures. It just came out in paperback last week. ST is growing up and he finds out what it's like to be a parent, and especially how hard it is to be during very difficult times, which a lot of people may relate to right now. So yeah, that's Feral Creatures.
But you put something else in the thing, the last
That's-
chairlift.
That's the John
That's the
Irving.
John Irving.
I wanted to
Oh,
put it
that's
in
a
there.
John Irving. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, what
I
was
wanna-
the other one you were going to talk about?
Oh, this has been out for a while. This is the new one from Obi Kaufman.
Oh,
One of his another thick book, a thick, beautiful book, The Coast of California. So he has these California field atlases, not field guides, but atlases that are they're hard to describe. They're beautiful works of art. They have beautiful color illustrations. Here's one of my favorites, Raven.
I'm seeing a blackbird theme with you.
It's a raven. Here's the beloved Grunion of the fabled Grunion runs you hear about in town. Let's see. Yes, this is an Opa fish to illustrate La Jolla. You'll see La Jolla down here.
Mhm.
So these books are beautiful. They're good gifts for anyone who loves California. And they are not only a exploration of the natural history and environment, but they're also hopeful. There's a quote from Dan Seeley of Eco News that says, Obi wants to inspire us to be optimistic, not fatalistic about the world we find ourselves in. He believes we can indeed reverse course and save what we have inherited. So I thought that was a nice one to talk about today when some people might be feeling a little down about the state of affairs these days.
Yep.
Yeah, these are gorgeous books. They're very, they're beautiful to hold and flip through and just dip into whenever you feel like being inspired.
I love it. Well, back to your other ones though. Kim is on here and she loves Hollow Kingdom and Feral Creatures, and she's a big fan of ST. So I love Kim. I think those are those books that just like they just grab you. Then you're a fan.
He's my favorite. He's an everyman crow.
I love it.
Speaks for us all.
All right, Gabe. I think you're gonna close us out here with your last one, aren't you?
I do have one more,
All
oddly
right.
enough.
Oddly enough.
Come on, screen. So I'm going to finish off with a Booker Prize nominated author,
Oh,
Anuradha Roy, and really a brilliant novel. This comes from our VIA, which is our imprint that brings us a lot of works in translation, and some really, really outstanding fiction from around the world. So this is from India. Roy's been recognized as a special kind of a writer, and we have it's kind of a complicated book to discuss. It is our main protagonist is an artist who is trying to create. He's got this vision of creating this amazing horse. Now, what kind of horse, and what is he trying to do, and what is his motivation? It's all very internal and artistic, and he's trying to create a piece for the ages, right? He doesn't want to just, create a sculpture that can go in. He wants to create something that's going to rock the world or mean something. And what would it mean? So in his musings, we enter his life. And he's got a pretty ordinary life. He falls in love with a young woman in his neighborhood who starts, distracting him a little bit. And as we are looking at his world and what he's trying to do with his horse of these mythic proportions, he introduces some myths of India and interjects them into what is happening today, the state of fanaticism that is taking over the world right now, the ways in which the East and the West converge and then repel, and not necessarily to anyone's advantage, maybe more to each other's detriment. So it's a book that's got a lot of really serious things going on in it, but it is a really, really interesting read and a fun read. It's not it's not, super complicated and out there. It's a very solidly, entrenched in today's world. But the way he introduces the myths and stories of the people is just really interesting. And I think that, it's the kind of stuff that makes your brain tick in a good way. It's like I said, it's not like reading some of these really inaccessible writers. It's a really, really readable book, very concrete, everything really. It's not out there in the ether. It's a very concrete telling, but really a cultural, I think, a book that is dissecting the culture and looking at the culture, in this particular, his culture, which is India, but the effect of that confluence with the West and that interactions and the separations.
Sounds like it might be for people who like Mohsin Hamid. Might be
I don't know. Oh,
okay. You wrote like the Reluctant Fundamentalist and Exit West, and it just sounds like they're the same kind of storyteller, is what it sounds like.
Funny
Okay.
you should mention them, right?
What?
Funny you should mention Mohsin Hamid.
Why? Oh, the event we're having?
Yeah, if
Yeah,
anyone's
well-
interested.
I'll do that one in a second, but I know that we've got some questions coming in. Or are you answering them?
No.
Okay. Beth, hold on. Let me see if I can. Okay, here we go. Because Gabe, you might be able to help us
wow.
answer this.
I feel
Um,
like that's a closely guarded secret. Yeah, Gabe, tell us.
Yeah,
What's
because
that?
this I don't know. So she says it's a silly, but it's not a silly question. So there's been a lot of memoirs of famous people. So if a co-author or ghostwriter is not on the cover, how do you know if there's a ghostwriter? And you're welcome for us being here on the holiday. So you don't really, a lot of times that's not divulged, right?
ghostwriters, sometimes they're not. Usually you'll find it in once you go into like the inside of the title pages and stuff, there should be a mention of the translator in your
Or the
title
ghostwriter.
pages. Let's see. But
Because like when you have a celebrity, like most celebrities aren't writers.
right. And most of them have a ghostwriter.
Right. And so, but though, so you don't really know, but some people, like, for example, like Andrew McCarthy, he writes his own books. I mean,
Right.
he's a travel writer. He does write his own book. So he doesn't have a ghostwriter. But like, for example, Molly Shannon, who just came in the store the other day to sign books. I don't know if that was ghostwritten or not.
There's usually, I don't know. I would imagine, because there's when there's a translation, the translators acknowledge, even if it's
Right.
not on the cover, he's acknowledged in the
Right.
title page.
Right.
But I've never stopped to look at that, honestly.
Yeah. But for a ghostwriter, it's like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Because I
Because some
think
of
like
them,
the Keith Richards didn't have a ghostwriter, but I think Michael Peach wrote a chunk of that.
right. Yeah.
I think it's
so,
pretty acknowledged that Michael Peach wrote a bunch of that. So.
yeah. And there's, for example, like there's a,
But I don't know. Allegedly, I don't know. No.
yeah.
Line anybody.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I don't know.
But like John David Mann, who we've hosted a few times, he's been a ghostwriter for a bunch of books, but he doesn't really say what they are. So I don't know if it's like contractually, sometimes they are not supposed to divulge. I don't know. It's a good question.
Interesting. Because I'll ask because my girl Jessica Anya Blau has done some ghostwriting, and I wasn't sure how she was credited.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
I mean, they just get like paid under the table, like a non-disclosure agreement. Like, here's all your
it
money.
might be how it is in the contract. I think it maybe if you got like, a prime time, former New York Times ghostwriter like Todd Gold, not
Yeah.
Todd, what's his name?
Yeah. Maybe they are, so
Maybe there's
Maybe-
levels. I don't know.
here's your money. Don't say who, say,
I'm
don't
gonna
say
ask
anything.
around. I'm asking around. If I don't have an answer soon, it will be eventually.
Yeah,
Me
I
too.
love this. Okay, so I think, yeah. So anyways, back to Mohsin Hamid. Yes, we got a lot with Daniel Silva's coming up, Mohsin Hamid, you can watch virtually. I don't know, look at our website. I'm the events director. I know I should have all this on the top of my head, but I don't. It's a holiday. So actually July is kind of light though. We have a kind of a light July. I didn't book a bunch of stuff, but I think we hit it pretty hard in August and September. So anyways, be safe out there, everybody. Happy reading. Have a good rest of your week. And we will be back next week with more good reads. So everybody have a good rest of your holiday. Thanks.
Hold on tight to your pets tonight.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Tranquilize.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well, I'll be tranquilized. Bye, everybody.